outstanding. Notice that there's going to be a camera. So I really would like us to be really good, you know what I mean? So turn this way, you know, for camera's sake, you know what I mean? They're going to be filming. We're looking this way. Exactly. I like the way she's fixing her hair. Hold up, let me get myself together. Right, absolutely. Sweetie, can you move yourself over here so at least you know? Especially with the camera angle there, we don't want it to look like, you know, you over there. There we go. All right. So first of all, good afternoon. Buenas tardes. Yes, bonjour, hola, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien. Sure. Yes. Yeah, good afternoon. We have lunch? We good to go? That's what I'm talking about. So, first of all, I want to welcome you. My name is Miss Owens. The gentleman you do see around is Mr. Trevor Melton. He is with the New Jersey Department of Education Amistad Assembly. You also have the Civil Rights Hispanic Civil Rights Heritage Traveling Museum. This is all about the history of New Jersey during the Civil Rights time. Isn't that cool? New Jersey. So you will see South Jersey cities such as Atlantic City on the boardwalk, the Democratic National Convention. You'll see Chicken Bone Beach. You'll see history of Miss America and Miss Black America. You will see also peaceful protests that took place. Freedom Summer in Atlantic City. You will also see the Freedom buses that went from Atlantic City to D.C. called AC to DC to Washington, D.C. Hello, good afternoon. Come in. Come right on in, my folks. Come right on in. We're just beginning. And once you sit down, we can begin. Come on in. Buenas tardes. Come on in. Yes, have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, you can stand around as well and just, you know, over there. I did wipe off the desk. So, you know, I like things clean. All right. Yep. Come on in, have a seat. Y'all have to come in, and you see that someone's filming, so please do not be in front of the camera. 5, come on in. 4, let's go. 3, yeah, come on in. 2, there we go. Still sitting around there. 1, thank you. There we go. So this is high school. Yeah, good afternoon. And as I am speaking, your attention is here. Already those that were here had their cell phones up. I had their attention. So put them up. I didn't see earpods and ears. Camera right there. We represent Pleasantville High School. I appreciate that. So again, I'm Ms. Owens, and I'm here presenting on and about the African American Traveling Museum that is here. And again, that is from Mr. Ralph Hunter, who is the founder and the CEO of the African American Heritage Museum of Southern New Jersey. It is located right in Atlantic City. And him and his team have been here actually with our school district all week long. This is actually the last stop. We started last Friday, South Main, and did all of the elementary schools. Yesterday, Thursday, we were at the middle school cross, and Friday we end today. So each and every school has had an opportunity. And of course, we're finishing up at the home of the Greyhounds. So again, I thank you for allowing me to be here. And I want to give you a connection to what you're about to see so that we can all understand and really grasp this great opportunity we have with the Traveling Museum. One of those things is, number one, is being able to make the connection that the Traveling Museum is the civil rights history and how New Jersey had an impact on the civil rights movement in our nation. So the information you will see has a lot of New Jersey history, yes. South Jersey history, yes. So again, you'll see the boardwalk, you'll see Atlantic City, phone up please. You will also see Chicken Bone Beach. And when you're there and the presenter is talking, pay attention because I want you to know why they call it Chicken Bone Beach. Again, you will see Freedom buses that went from AC to DC. You'll see Freedom Summer, how schools were involved. You will see peaceful protests, similar to the Black Lives Movement. You will see when there were riots that took place in Newark, New Jersey, and other places where buildings were burned.
Alasia Gator.
Folks lost their lives. You will see violence. Some of the pictures in regards to people fighting, okay, because of the unrest that was happening. So much so, even in Camden, when Rafael Gonzalez, unfortunately, was killed by a police officer, the Puerto Rican community in Camden marched all the way to City Hall in Camden, fighting against police brutality, demanding justice and equality, similar to what we have been experiencing at this time. So when you're looking at those connections, notice the names I'm saying, not just African Americans. So when I say that, it's this. By law in the state of New Jersey, Department of Education has mandated the Amistad law, where we are to teach history inclusively and accurately. We are to make sure history and the contributions of Native Americans, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Pacific Americans, LGBTQIA+, and disabilities are all represented. Holocaust mandate lets us know in the state of New Jersey that we are to make sure that we are fighting hatred and racism wherever and whenever it exists. The students we are teaching are to be informed global citizens that when they look at any book, whether it's in language arts, math, science, social studies, visual and performing arts, every single content area is to have infused and integrated in it Amistad law to make sure that the history of Native Americans, African Americans,
Good afternoon, PHS.
and other
Here are your afternoon announcements.
are included.
Attention
Not
all
just the social
seniors.
studies
Please
history
pay your
book.
class dues with
It
Mrs.
is
Gates
all
in room
content
804
area
as soon as possible.
And that is something that we are continually striving and perfecting here
Attention
at
all
Pleasantville
students.
Public Schools.
PBIS
So
rewards
with
have been
that-
loaded into the PBIS system. You can redeem your points for gift cards to stores like Starbucks, Chili's, Applebee's, and more. In addition, we have some PHS clothing available, which includes PHS hoodies with matching joggers. Collect PBIS points for being respectful and responsible, basically making good choices and reap the rewards. Be a part of the positive movement at PHS to make our school the best place to be. Lastly, the Platinum Dance Team will meet Tuesday, February 22nd in the cafeteria at 3:05. Come ready to dance. Thank you all for listening and have a great day, everyone.
All right, so everyone heard that, excellent, so that is good. And also, so when we're talking about what is mandated by the state of New Jersey, we want to ensure that that is what is happening, that is what we strive to do. Pleasantville Public Schools is a state model for kindergarten to 5th grade in regards to Amistad implementation. It is called AmHatino, Amistad Holocaust and Latino History. We want to make sure that is something that is continued so that when students get to middle and high school, yes, they are informed citizens. And with due respect to you, when we're looking at the connection that is happening, we're also looking at the fact that as our future leaders of today, which you are registered voters, our next inventors for helping to cure climate change and everything going on. Next of our visual performing artists, however, whatever that may be. Doctors, lawyers, congressmen and women, judges, senators, the next presidents and vice presidents of this great nation. All of those great things are possible within this room. And in order for that to continue, it is important that you are given the tools necessary to make informed decisions and to fight hatred and racism wherever it exists. That is what this is about. So without further ado, when we come to Amistad mandate, one of those first things is making sure that the transatlantic slave trade is taught. It's teaching the full African diaspora. What that means is that in our textbooks, normally we only see North America or that the slave trade went to the United States. We don't see it fully, so we don't really get to understand who we are as people and our connections that we have to each other and the connections that we have to history represented here. So when we're looking at racism, colorism, sexism, discrimination, segregation, it begins to click why we are all important in making sure this great nation continues in the progress of equality, diversity, and liberty for everyone, okay, regardless of our skin color, because that is what makes us awesome, that's what makes us great, that's what makes us genius, that's what makes our culture so appealing, that everybody wants to be here, right? Live that American dream. So when we're looking at that American dream, we must first understand and pay homage to the Native Americans, both in North and South America, that were the first to be enslaved, and also the fact that they were also forced off the land, this land that we call home. Number two, then we have those that were kidnapped and forced onto slave ships, enslaved Africans, and they were taken to North and South America. When we say North America, understand, yes, that's the United States, but that's also the Bahamas, Cuba, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Mexico. That also makes up North America. When we say South America, remember we're dealing with our other Brazil and other Latin American countries. When we look at a map of the transatlantic slave trade, it is not the ones that you see here. And that means our textbooks are inaccurate. That's where we readjust as educators and ensure that we are teaching a curriculum that is inclusive and accurate, because that is important. Because slavery was not just a United States thing. So with that being said, when we're looking at this, and we're looking at this map, we're looking at the fact that 344,000 enslaved Africans were transported to the United States. 10 million, let me hear you say 10 million. Oh, 10 million. Excellent. Over 10 million, there we go, went to South America, over 10. So when you're looking at the maps here, that is exactly what you're seeing. You are seeing, well, I'm seeing, you're not seeing, because there has to unfreeze. What about that, Ms. Owens? I got you. Here we go. You are seeing maps that actually show the transatlantic slave trade the way it should. Notice the slave ports that where they're going. For example, Uruguay has a large slave import as well, a slave port, along with Cuba and other places. Okay, this is the number of enslaved Africans. That's another map that's accurate, showing North and South America. Look how many voyages go here before we even get to the United States. 344,000 was what makes up enslaved or African Americans today. African Americans are also a mixed ethnic group. 20-25% European ancestry. Some of us have Native American ancestry and other ethnicities. For example, I'm African American, hazel green eyes, light skin. I have my siblings, same mom and dad. My older brother and sister are darker, browner, straighter hair. My younger brother is lighter than I am. I don't have anybody white in my family I know about. I'm African American. I'm black. Because in the United States, it's 1%, right? One drop makes you black. That's how that is. You know, that's the United States, but that doesn't make it right. Because that's why we educate. That's why we have you. These are the kind of things that when we're looking at it saying, that's not right. Just like when you go see Miss America and you're looking in that mirror to see if you fly because America's there. You know what I mean? Looking at the mirror. Understand rule number 7 right there, and you read it. Says that you must be healthy and you must be white. So that excludes a whole lot of us in this room. That was the rule in 1948. That is in the display here. So when we're looking at maps and we're looking at totally making a connection, because that's what's important, is making that connection. This is what we mean by the connection. Argentina, Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Cuba, Dominican Republic all had slavery. And they had slavery, except for beliefs, before 1619, before Jamestown. How long did they have it? It's right there. They've had it. Slavery ended in what, in the 1800s, so over 2-3 centuries. Slavery before the United States. You also have Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Haiti, which was the only country to lead a successful rebellion in the Western Hemisphere. They overtook and claimed Haiti in 1793. That's how that slavery ended. However, everybody else, Honduras, Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Ecuador, all had slavery. Ended 2 centuries later. 10 million enslaved Africans went to South America. Nicaragua, Panama, Paraguay, Peru, Puerto Rico, Suriname, of course, the United States, Uruguay, and Venezuela. Slavery. When we're looking at the commonalities, we need to understand with people of color, slavery is just not a United States thing. When we're looking at the names, and those names sound like the names in our families, we must understand and make a connection, because we're all part of this great nation that we call home, that we call the United States of America. Lastly, when we're looking at other connections, such as holidays, like Juneteenth Day, you have, or
Can I have your attention, please?
At
this time, all teachers, please close and lock your doors. Security officers, if there are any students in the hallway without a pass, please escort them to D102. Thank you.
Their history. That's Argentina. So even when we're looking at that, that's similar to Juneteenth Day, how we celebrate Juneteenth Day today to include Bolivia. On September 23rd, they have Afro-Bolivian Day. As well as other places like Chile, who has in theirs that schools will teach the history, language, and culture of Afro-Chileans, just like we have similar Amistad Holocaust laws and mandates today in the state of New Jersey. This goes on and on to even show you that the first black president of North America, not just the United States, of North America was Vicente Guerrero from Mexico. He was the second president of Mexico. He also ended slavery on September 16, 1829. Afro-Latino history is throughout all of this. So when we're making connections of when they're the first black or the first Afro-Latino in these countries and this and that, when we're looking at names like mestizo, mulatto, all of those names that include the mixing of races, the mixing of African and Native American and European, and all of those names that come up, what does that mean? That first of all, we are people. Just like W.E.B. Du Bois, whose mother was enslaved and whose father was white. Just like Booker T. Washington, whose mother was enslaved and his father was white. What does that mean? That we are people of color that have a rich history, intelligent, and that when we're talking about equality, diversity, we're including everything. So I want you to make that connection. First of all, slavery is not just, we all share that history. So when we're looking at being able to make changes and differences and looking at how it moves in New Jersey, and you're standing in places where that's happened, remember your role in society and what you can bring to progress this country further. So I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask me. At this time, please view the museum and make those wonderful connections. You have a wonderful afternoon.
The Freedom Schools, as well as a voting drive in Mississippi. This drew a lot of attention towards the Summer of Freedom, and later on, Atlantic City wanted to support the Summer of Freedom as well as the Civil Rights Movement. So they did events like this one you can see here in the picture, which was in the Borough Hall. You received a ticket for it, as well as a letter from the Atlantic delegation in Atlantic City. If we look this way, the Summer of Freedom was assembled by students from up north who came from places like Mississippi to fight and protest against racial discrimination, violence, as well as unfair laws against voting and unfair treatment towards people of color. The Summer of Freedom was very successful, but from 1963 to 1965, around 25 people in Mississippi.
I'm trying to learn about
Talking about 3 activists that got killed in Mississippi. So yes, this is on the Atlantic City boardwalk, and he's like the last picture. That's pretty cool. I didn't know he came to Atlantic City, so that's something you learned. You guys know what this is?
every day.
Yo, you guys want to hear some facts about Atlantic City?
No. So anyways, a movie based on this is Mississippi Burning. I think that's what it was called.
So those 3 men on the picture, those are men who died at what again?
There were 3 activists that got killed in Mississippi. Like a yeah. That's kind of big. Panel is about the march from AC to DC, which basically talks about how like thousands of people, as well as like the NAACP and different people from churches, as well as Ralph Hunter himself, which is the founder of the African American Heritage Museum, basically took the March of Washington, took like freedom buses, and basically wanted to like promote that they wanted freedom rights for jobs and different things like that. And this march is what basically led them to Dr. King's I Have a Dream. So that's what's up.
Yeah, so basically right now this building is nursing home. And you guys know that Martin Luther King's first name was Michael and not Martin. It was like when he grew up, he lived in
So this is the Great Migration. Over 5 million African Americans traveled to the north from the south in hopes to find freedom. Unfortunately, discrimination had already made its way to the northern states, so it was kind of like a backfire. Here is a list of African American riots that have taken place, whether it was police brutality or, actually I think all of this was police brutality, that have happened during the last 6 or 7 years of the Great Migration.
I can find group groundbreaking.
I'm in it.